This last weekend, we saw the premiere for the American Society of Magical Negroes, and it's basically the disaster that most of us were predicting it was going to be, because right out of the gate when they released their trailer a few months back, you can look at that like to dislike ratio, and pretty much no one was happy with this. It's not like it's divided amongst political lines either, because pretty much everyone is upset with this movie, or at least we're upset with the trailer of it, because we even have this article from Black Enterprise of all places criticizing the movie, saying in their headline, "The American Society of Magical Negroes criticized by Black and white viewers." And this stems from the fact that in the trailer, at least the impression that it was giving was that everyone is racist against white people and Black people were submissive to them, despite the fact that they were magical beings for whatever reason. So yeah, no one was really happy with how this was going to go about. And I understand that they're trying to play to the magical Negro trope or whatever in some movies. And this could have actually been a good idea for a satire if handled properly. We saw Key and Peele do that in their sketch show. So you could have actually made a movie with this, but apparently as the movie was starting to come out and we were hearing reviews from it, things didn't look good for it either. I mean, even other outlets that would normally be defending something like this couldn't help but criticize it. This is coming from NPR, the American Society of Magical Negroes. You don't want to join this club. Scrolling down to the article. The movie has at least two crucial factors working against it. For me, the magical Negro trope isn't anywhere near as pervasive in Hollywood as it was when Spike Lee coined the term more than 2 decades ago. And that's the whole thing when you're trying to mock or satirize something, is you have to satirize something that currently exists, because if it's an old trope, then what's the point of satirizing it? Are they going to satirize minstrel shows too, even though no one does that anymore? Second, it has no Black characters. To be clear, there are real Black performers playing these roles on screen, but one would think fully human, complexly written roles ought to exist in a movie where the goal is combating multiple centuries worth of one-dimensional representation. So it really does just come across like they just missed the mark entirely with what they're trying to do. Other reviews are pointing out that the movie starts off one way, then just kind of devolves into a cheesy rom-com that really doesn't work. But for the most part, no one actually enjoyed this movie, even if you're trying to enjoy it ironically. It's not even that great just to laugh at. So, which really explains why the results of this at the box office weren't that good. The American Society of Magical Negroes stumbled to the number 9 spot. The film scraped together just $1.25 million from 1,146 theaters, a smaller screen count than the average wide release. I think some people are going to point to that saying like, well, it had less screenings and that's why it didn't make a whole lot of money. If it had more screenings, then it would have done better, right? Well, not necessarily. I mean, obviously more screenings would have been better for that. But if you actually look at the numbers on Box Office Mojo, it still only averaged $226 per screening over the weekend. And the only other movie on the top 10 list that beats it out that did less than that was Ordinary Angels, and that had $151 per screening. But you also have to keep in mind that's been out for 24 days versus this is the first weekend for the American Society of Magical Negroes. So even if this did have more screenings, it's still not going to do that great. And it looks like word of mouth isn't going to help it either, because you can look at the aggregates on Rotten Tomatoes and it's still pretty bad. 30% for critics, 65% for audiences. Now, audience score, that's not necessarily the worst thing right there. But if you actually look at the all audiences and the top critics, it's much worse for that. And I'm thinking the opening weekend for this movie is obviously going to be the best one. But I think a lot of people are really just coming out to see the movie because you can just tell from a mile away this is going to be a train wreck. And I think the idea was maybe this will be something that's funny to watch and laugh at, kind of watch ironically. So I think there was more people coming out to watch it opening weekend because of that reason. But it turns out that it's not even good for those reasons. So I'm thinking we're going to see a steep drop off in the next weekend. I don't know what they spent on this movie. I'm thinking probably in the $5 to $10 million range. That seems to be a conservative estimate for a movie like this, but either way, I don't think it's going to make that much money back. This is going to be a huge flop, and it really does deserve that. But let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Did you check this out, or are you interested in still watching it despite all this? I'm curious what people have to say about this. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button. And if you can, like and share the video because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.